The real deals are on the air now. And now, live from the Swords of St. Michael Studios, it's The Real Deals. Kenneth and Farah's Deel.
Happy Labor Day!
And we're not laboring. How do you like that?
It's Sunday. We're not supposed to Labor Day. I know.
It's a day of rest, you guys. I hope you guys are all resting and enjoying. We thought we'd do like a little test show and thought we'd do like a viewer's choice, that sort of thing. So,
yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Let's hear from the chats.
In case anybody finds us tonight. If not, we've got plenty of stuff to bother on about.
We're kind of popping up all over like a pirate radio station.
Ken can always find something goofy to do, so...
Oh my gosh! So hello to everybody. Let's see who's all in here because I can in this configuration. So far, we just see. This is the thing about. Oh my goodness, 3 of them unannounced.
Jennifer Malick's in.
Yeah.
Yes, and hopefully, it's okay if you want to stay hidden. If you want to post under a pseudonym or whatever, you can always, just give us a little shout and let us know whatever your question is, that kind of thing.
I don't know. Maybe we should go popping over the other one.
Why?
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 Why? So we can catch people off guard.
No, you said you wanted to run a test show on YouTube.
Oh, that's true. That defeats the purpose. Well, it worked. Oh, my gosh. Yeah, we're in it for the full hour tonight, folks, no matter where we finish it.
Oh, so in other words, you're telling everybody on YouTube you would either go to Facebook to find your little showmates.
Well,
so bad.
Everybody's too busy watching something on TV, I guess, right now, aren't they?
Yeah.
Oh, it's just us and Jennifer in there. No, that's the chat room for you. Okay. We will we'll go ahead and do our St. Michael prayer. Does that sound like a plan? That sounds like a plan. Sounds like a plan. Ready?
Yeah.
The Father, and the Son, Holy Spirit, amen. St. Michael the Archangel, defend us in battle, be our protection against the malice and the snares of the devil. May God rebuke him, we'll be humbly praying. Thou Prince of the heavenly host, by the divine powers of God, cast into hell Satan and all the other evil spirits who roam through the world, seeking to ruin the souls, amen. And Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen. Most sick at heart, Jesus, have mercy on us all.
Amen. St.
Michael has been terribly overused in this this work that we do, except that it's used by con artists and very often people misrepresenting themselves. So if you see the name St. Michael, it doesn't mean we're associated with it. When I looked that name up in 2007, when we started it, I think I only found a squadron from the 1940s called the Sword of St. Michael.
Mm-hmm.
And then St. Michael came up under somebody else who I don't want to mention, a fake brother.
Yeah.
But that's it. Now it's like everybody's using it. There's some guy, I don't know. We'll have to do a whole show about that and just give a profile. What's funny about when fakes are out there? You can hang them by their own words. Their posts, you can use archive.org and show that they only been around since 2006 as a fake priest and bishop. And they keep telling everybody their organization's been around since 15 years ago. Do the math. It's barely 12 years for that, and that was said 2 years ago. So we'll move on to this thing, just like a regular show. The meme of the week. Well, this is actually the second meme this week, and that is: travels thousands of miles to find a ghost, runs when they think there's a ghost. That's for sure, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
What's wrong with him? It's like the old Casper thing. I should have had a clip of that.
You should.
Where's our multimedia guy, Iggy?
I know. Where is he, Mr. Potboy?
Yeah. He's normally sitting right over there. You can see where my arms...
Too funny. Oh, yeah, 5 people are watching. I wish I knew who you were. I could say hi. We did have people say that they were going to join us from Australia tonight, and I think there was one that might pop in from Poland, and there was somebody, somebody might join us from Portugal. So if you're out there, I'm so glad you joined.
Amen.
Hi, Orion. Hey, thanks so much for joining us, Mr. Gillette. I love that name. Gillette.
Oh,
yes.
Yes, there was a vocal coach named Jim Gillette from some Lester and Heard band. I used to listen to his tapes in the 80s so I could practice my hair metal band scales in the car on the cassette. And you go up to, the high C or whatever. But that's where it is. His name is Jim Gillette. That's like the first and last time I heard the last name Gillette in there, besides the razor. So we're going to do some things here tonight.
Yeah, we're just
Which one do you want to
telling
do first?
Jen we're going to do viewer's choice here in a few minutes.
Mm-hmm.
We got a few things we're going to blather on about. So if you want to go ahead and pop your questions, I've got my handy-dandy little pen right here, so I'm taking notes and stuff about some of the things that we were talking about earlier in the week that we just kind of wanted to cover. And also, because we're so swamped right now, there's quite a few things coming up in cases, and it kind of seems that they're cyclical, and they go around and around and around. So we kind of wanted to address them, especially because we have people that really want referrals desperately. And in order to refer them to somebody, we have to have some sort of history with those people. We have to have some sort of basis of a relationship. So we're going to talk about relationship. We're going to talk about referrals. And also, oh my gosh, we got to talk about frauds, phonies, and lizards, because they all come out of the same crack hole in the ground. There they come. It's light of day. Come get some Let's Play. Yeah. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're not going to name names or disparage anybody, because as somebody was so obviously pointing out today, Ken, remember, it's like somebody was saying, oh my gosh, hi Chris Thompson, hi Tony, hi Michael, good to see you. Yes, it's a Sunday surprise. But somebody pointed out that I had posted something that was quite judgmental. And so we're going to talk about exactly what is judgmental. So I don't want you guys to go anywhere. I would love it if you guys could give us some feedback. We need feedback on sound, on stream quality, and if you have some questions. So we can get to all your questions tonight within the next hour and 15 minutes. I promise we'll get to them.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be high def tonight.
Yeah, I think so. Because, Ken's trying some stuff. He's tweaking some stuff, and we're really trying hard, guys. Good to see you, Chris Thompson.
Yeah, I can, if you
Hi,
don't
Bernard,
mind.
brother, OFS, sorry.
Oh, good. Keep acknowledging. I'm going to tell me why I can
always
look.
Good to see people, yeah, and he's trying to run the board, okay, you guys? When you guys see, the little things pop up on the screen that goes bing, bing, he's sitting there at the control board. We do not have... Not yet, anyway. I mean, who knows? We could in the future. But we don't have a tech person, a sound person, an effects person, or somebody sitting at the board running stuff off. Ken's got to sit there and do the 5-finger thing on the keyboard. So
yeah,
it's all
make
it's
it
all
10
good.
Or 2 fingers.
Yes, precisely. So
I saw Dan Rather do that once on some behind the scenes a long time ago, and I go, Dan Rather, just like me, just on that though, because I don't like most of those guys. I'm gonna define it, and then you can we can both go back and forth on that.
What are we going to start with here?
Well, since it is hot, and I'm going to talk about some.
It's hot.
No, the topic is hot.
The topic is hot.
Well, it's always hot.
I'm trying to figure what it's hot. It's hot. It's not. It's hot. It's hot.
It's hot. Means it's live and it's recent. That.
Yes.
So in that, we put blogs up about this before. This not a vlog with a V, and the way it's really defined as, people are misquoting the Bible, judge not, and it goes on down the line, and if they didn't pay attention to anything but the first line, is what they do, judge not? Yes. Okay, here's what judgment is.
Yeah, let's
judgment
talk
is,
exactly about judgment.
You see my hair, or tonight, AC/DC t-shirt, and you go, he's not very holy and pious. I don't believe he could be a demonologist or work with exorcists. Fact is, judge. If I would give something like a judgment, that's a judgment. That's assuming that I do drugs and I'm an alcoholic or I'm a hippie. Well, guess what? I never did drugs. Never was interested in it. I walked the beat of a different drummer my whole life. I got my head shaved when I was a kid by my dad, who gave me crew cuts all the time, and this is kind of still like it this way. And my wife likes it too. So there we go. But no, judgmental is when you're not judging the person, you're judging the sin. See, since we have the 10 Commandments in the Bible, if this guy's a murderer, you can say he's a murderer. It doesn't make you judgmental. He's been proven to be a murderer. It doesn't mean you can gossip about venial sins like, oh, yeah, she's got a whole bunch of boyfriends, that married woman. Oh, over here, her daughter, she had an abortion. Even that.
That's gossip. That's not judgmental.
That's right.
See, and that's what we have to understand, kids. When we sit there and share that information, that's called gossip, which could be very damaging to somebody's character, which we would never choose to do unless there's certain circumstances. Is it necessary? In other words, is this going to help someone? Is this going to benefit someone? Is this going to prevent somebody else from harm? Is this, absolutely entirely important to somebody that they have this information? That's what Ken's talking about. This sharing of information is something that somebody feels so important that it must be shared. That's not going to be anything considered judging. Now, let's just say, Ken, you were saying, oh my gosh, she had an abortion. What a slut. How does he know the intention of how she got pregnant? That's a judgmental statement, because you're judging the circumstances under which she had the abortion. Maybe she wasn't a slut. Maybe she was in love and she believed she was going to get married and he dumped her.
Oh, yeah, that
Maybe
happens a
he
lot.
was married already and couldn't marry her, and she was so ashamed. See, we cannot judge another's heart, and that's what we have to be very, very careful about, is that when we attempt to judge the intentions of people's hearts, we're going to get judged the same way.
Oh, that's so true. That says that in the Bible, too, but that's
James 3, though, like you were saying, an olive will not fall from a fig tree, nor a fig fall from an olive tree. A fig will fall from an olive tree. And to call that fig an olive that fell off the fig tree is deceitful, it's a lie, and potentially, geez, if somebody was allergic to olives or figs and you told them, oh yeah, that fig is an olive, and they ate it,
I don't even know what a fig is.
a fig is a fruit, honey. Haven't you ever had
Oh,
fig
so it is? I thought a
Newtons?
fig was just a fig,
Oh
like
my
a leaf.
gosh.
Didn't Adam and Eve cover their privates up with fig leaves or something?
Well,
That'd be funny if they did. I
fig
think I remember
leaves.
that.
Oh my gosh.
Jesus curses the fig tree. Yeah, well, I think I'd curse it too.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, no wonder why it's bad fruit.
Yeah, and I think that we have to be, and we usually are very, very, very careful with the kind of information that we share, folks. So, if I had unintentionally offended anybody, that was never, ever, ever, our intention today. The whole point of any kind of post that I would make is I firmly believe that we are under authority. God orders us under the authority of our government, under our mayor, under the city council. Whoever is in charge of us, we're under authority. We follow that authority. So consequently, it's important for us to be able to know who's in authority and what they're doing. And we saw something that was glaringly not true. And I do not believe in getting in political discussions. We discussed religion. That's what we like to discuss. I do support our
Spiritual warfare
military.
in
We
particular.
both support our military. Ken's dad was in the military. My dad was in the military. We come from like long lines. He's got
an
nuns and
MP and a
priests. We've got
corporal.
some nuns and lots of military people. So if you ever see us post to something about the military, you know what? We're not going to make it about who's president, who's not president. The military, though, I stand up for them.
Yeah, just because we don't like the way someone did stuff, regardless of political affiliation, doesn't mean we're starting a political debate, because we're just talking about, this clumsy accident that was resulted in the death of 27 servicemen, sailors on an aircraft carrier, and suddenly it turns into this Trump thing, and it's I don't know, but we're trying to stay away from. Even when we speak truth, just because it'll go into politics. I used to have a policy I wouldn't talk about abortion, but I'm so fed up with
people
abortion.
Offended or upset. We want to make sure that whatever we share is educational, it's positive, it's uplifting. I do think, though, when people are being fed a massive lies, I get about that close to just saying, would you stop sharing this with me, because I know otherwise, and I've seen paperwork, I've talked to people, firsthand witnesses. And so, I had to post something, about an incident my father almost died in, and I was really just not listening to somebody that I know is not a hero be made, king of the mountain for a whole week. So I'm over it. Till next year, I promise I won't post anymore. So let's get onward and upward to all these positive things we want to talk about tonight.
Is that funeral going to go on again next year at the same time? I wouldn't doubt it. Oh my gosh. No, and the last thing on judgment, too, I have a right to not like a president based on their policies. If I didn't like Barack Obama, I mean, put anybody else in there. I don't care what color they are. If they're an idiot, they're an idiot. It doesn't have anything to do with color. If people don't like me, it doesn't make them a white hater or whatever, or anything like that, or a Catholic hater. So it's like, that's name calling, and that is judgmental. To assume that someone is prejudiced just because you don't like the last president had nothing to do with that. I mean, there's a lot of
Yes.
presidential candidates. Alan Keyes, my parents, we voted for Alan Keyes in the one election, and Ben Carson would have made a great president too. He's rather mellow, but that man's a
Yes.
genius.
Mm-hmm.
Heck, even I would probably even vote for Denzel Washington. What the heck? But neither of them, I know for sure, are not communists. I do not want communists running the country. Communists are still our enemy. So there, I said it.
Yeah, it's going that way. Okay, so let's change topic. Let's get on the happy, positive
You
high
hope.
note. All
Okay,
right.
there's kind of a commentary here. Last week's show was part 2 of the one talking about child spirit. Is it a child
That's
spirit?
right.
One
So
by
we're going to cover a couple things that we kind of didn't like totally polish off. So
Yeah, we didn't really give a final thought on that, and this kind of brings up what the final thought is because someone watched 2 episodes, apparently, commented on both of them, and they say, keep in mind, just because some sees or has an experience with unclean spirits does not mean it is the start of a full-blown infestation. The experience can be a warning. I'll largen that up a little bit.
you marked it up bad.
A warning because of the current because of their current lifestyle that needs to change. Well, all of them are. Anytime you see early stages of an infestation, it's always a warning. It's like you're starting to get physical effects, like symptoms of diabetes. It means you're going to start having to change your diet. I mean, this is one of those things that we already covered in one video or another, if not several, in addition to the last 2. Sometimes they appear because of our mental state of being. Well, we talked about that too. If they're particularly had changes in their life and they're feeling stressed out, we had it on a checklist. Like, what happened around the time did it appear? Because we were trying to discern whether or not it was evil or good.
Exactly.
Feelings or hopelessness, desperateness. Remember what we said? We said that if a person is in despair, that a demonic might pretend to be that dead relative to suck them in. They always like to take advantage of your ill feelings. If you're mad at somebody or whatever, anything, they jump on it as soon as you have feelings and emotions in a way. And that's why you got to pray for your friends who are mourning the loss of a loved one. Example would be losing a spouse and spirit of a child. Let me just tell people, when you listen to our show, don't comment until you listen to both, because I like to know that people are listening to both shows instead of listening to a portion and then commenting with things like this. I gave a little thing on the bottom here. I don't know. I necessarily know why I included it. I mean, if you want to read it, in case you can't turn your volume up at work with your headphones on or something. But this is just going into the basically the same things that I said. We always pay attention when it's you see an apparition. You start asking the questions that we outlined in the last 2 shows, the last 2 Thursdays, Friday, and what?
While we're talking about 2 Fridays, for some reason, the YouTube is looking really, really fuzzy. Is there any way that we can get that in a little bit clearer, Kenny?
I need to have that verified by more than one person.
Oh, okay. Well, 2 people says, okay, Tony says it looks crisp. Chris says it looks fuzzy. Michael says it looks fuzzy. It looks fuzzy to me. So I'm wondering if maybe that's a connection. See, I've got 3 people saying fuzzy, 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 fuzzy. Fuzzy Fuzzy was a bear. Fuzzy Fuzzy had no hair. Now Fuzzy Fuzzy Wuzzy had some hair. Could Fuzzy Wuzzy be a bear?
I don't know. It's like that.
See? That's what they're saying. It looks a little fuzzy. Crazy, crazy.
It's supposed to be 720p high def. See, this is the kind of stuff. I don't know how you're going to get around that when it's set for that.
Yep. Yeah, Jennifer says it looks a little bit fuzzy too. So that's 4 fuzzies.
That don't happen on Facebook.
That's strange. Yeah, so they can't read this writing. That's what I was worried about.
I don't know how I'm going to get out of that. Yeah, that's not good.
That's why we called it the test show tonight, kids, because we just weren't all that sure. Orion says it's a little bit fuzzy to him, too.
Well, let me look at it just a minute here.
So he's looking at it, and while he does that, I'm going to talk about, sometimes we can't catch all these questions.
Yeah,
and
it says 720p.
And there's always a lot of them.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so maybe this is my monitor and everybody else's monitor. Should we refresh or something?
No, it can't be because Facebook, whatever, won't.
This is
look
YouTube.
that. No, I'm just saying, why would it look better on the one that's way behind the technology of YouTube, right?
Okay, Tony says it looks clearer than usual, and Jennifer says it's probably YouTube. So
they could be buffering it.
I'm thinking
improperly
they
or
might
something.
be.
I don't know.
Oh, okay. So
Rescale.
Michael says it's on the computer, Chris, but on Firefly it's really fuzzy. Thank you. Oh, thank you, Jay Navarro. He says it's really clear. So I guess it's everybody's
that's
individual
crazy.
monitor, because you guys, I can't read what Ken's got up, or I'd be commenting on it. So that's why you see
yeah.
me looking over here to see me looking at my notes, because it's like we've got all these little notes around here, and we were hoping to look at the screen, but crazy screen. All right. Thank you.
That's
for
why
your
we call it a
patience.
test show, so we can throw in some
Test show,
excuses
so we can
into
just
there.
throw all this stuff out there, people. Yes. Okay, so Tony says watching the Apple TV YouTube app and the writing is crystal clear for me. Oh, excellent. That's good to hear.
I gotta get back to my chat page again.
I'm not sure. So anyway, like I was saying, we get these questions sometimes, and a lot of times there are so many layers of the part of the question we have to ask. Sometimes it's just not so simple, and it seems like it's a simple in and out question that, okay, let's just attack it and go, and it's not really. It's we have to take it apart and pull it apart. Isn't that strange? Yes. Oh, Chris says, it's probably my phone. Oh, thank you, Chris Thompson. We just want to produce the best show possible. And Ken goes through a lot of trouble to make sure.
Maybe they got to set it on your YouTube
Jennifer says,
browser.
go full screen and you can see it better. Now, that's an idea. If we go full screen, though, Jennifer, I don't think I'll be able to see chat unless, he adds the chat to the screen.
It still looks foggier. It's supposed to be, it's supposed to be 720p.
Yeah.
Oh, now it says HD. Right on the gear below the window.
Ah, okay. Well, Ken just hit something that said HD, so your feedback is still pretty essential. I'm going to try refreshing mine. Okay, Tony Watson. Tony Watson says Ken's block has turned totally black, but she can still see Farah. I don't know why that's occurred. Yeah, you're totally black, Ken. Ooh, that's a color. Oops.
Oh, I guess. No, I can't find any settings in the broadcaster, but maybe that's it. I might have to run.
Thank you so much for the feedback, everyone. Yeah, he is right now trying to scroll through audio and visual. Can you see him now? I hope. I'm hoping.
Yeah, they will. I had my camera shut off while I got out of my chair, so it didn't look too unprofessional.
I am going to refresh my page and see if that helps a little bit. I'm just going to refresh
well, anyway,
it, 'cause I'm not getting it live anymore. Isn't that weird?
Just to end that topic, it was it's just a thing that watch both episodes, and then because I get these every once in a while, and the person didn't listen to it, and they say, hey, I tell them all the time, watch the video again. I said that. So and all of these things were brought up. But we always we were looking for the red flags. The child spirit's at my bed. Do we automatically say, I'll help you find your mommy who you missed and you're left alone in the dark and all this other stuff, or it's your dead relative, who wants to hang out with you because you're feeling sorry, bad that they passed away or whatever. You don't automatically accept it. You don't have to test it either, because you can use the list that we gave you in the last 2 episodes to go over that, and all of these things were mentioned in there. All these things in the scenario is don't sit there and do nothing. Do something about it. You can even pray if it's a purgatory spirit. You don't want them to linger and hang out with you. Don't be selfish. If you're your relative, you want them to hang out with you all the time when they can go on to heaven?
No, you better let them
And they can go up there and they can pray for you or something? I don't understand it. Why would you welcome, the ghost spirit or whatever that you think it is without even looking to see if it's a demon, which most often it is?
Yes.
Ghost spirit, like we were talking about, well, you can know they'd be there 70 years, or in the South, some Civil War ghosts are still showing up and taking their boots off. Like they're getting home. So, yeah, this is why we put ourselves out there, because of this. This is a small example of it, though. All right, you want to do, let's see. By the way, yes, go ahead and post questions. Anything at all.
Don't forget, like our video. Thank you. I see I've already got 8 thumbs up. Thank you so much, kids. If you can, click the link, the cute little link, the little arrow that, slides where it says share. And on that, you can either copy and paste, or you can share it on any of your pages, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, because that helps, get the information out there. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to share real life details, real events, real solution, because what? We're the real deals. Thank you all for tuning in. This is our Labor Day test show. Happy Labor Day to you. God bless the fruits of your labor. And we know, it's not always right away we get to see the fruits of our labor. Thank you, Jennifer, for sharing. I really appreciate it. Tell hi to your boy Bumpley in the back. Where is Kev tonight? But we all go through different times in our life where we might think that we're going to be an engineer for the rest of our life, and we end up being an architect.
I am.
What? You're not an architect or an engineer?
I'm an architect.
You went black again. People can't see you. They're going to get upset. They like to see your face.
Oh, they aren't.
Oh, no, I see you now. There you are.
I didn't go black. Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
Okay, so the I'll do
Da-da. Here we go. Oh, no, not that. Is this my clue? Oh, that's right. Oh, you kiddies, there's so much going on in the world today with evil. Evil. And we can't say enough how much everything's so turned upside down. It used to be if somebody did something horrible, it's like, oh, he's horrible. He's a swindler. He's a criminal. He left people to die. He did this. He did that. And all of a sudden, it just like, okay, so now that's not such a big deal. And evil is truly thought of as, well, we can't say that because it's going to hurt somebody's feelings, and that's not politically correct, right? That's crazy. Oh, it's just
this
so
guy
crazy.
looks like a guy I bought my computer part the other day from.
Greetings from Arizona. Oh my gosh, I used to repossess cars in Phoenix, Anna. So glad you could join us.
We won't be talking about repossession tonight.
Yeah, no repossessions. Oh, Deborah Johnson. Deb, we were going to call you tonight. And we're like, no, you're probably playing with Una. Deb Johnson's in the room.
She still has fun. There's no snow outside. It's easier to ride a dog in the yard.
Yeah, the dog's pulling her around on a greased box, okay?
Except she can pull you on a sled.
She can ride the grassy waves.
Yeah. This was a story in something. Okay, this was in Oklahoma. I don't know what's going on in Oklahoma. They had this Satanic Mass, and it made world news.
That was really
Remember that?
crazy.
That was like 3 years ago.
And there was just what? There was only a few people that were even protesting that. That was just really strange.
Didn't 50 attend? They rented an arena or something like that. Something a really big venue.
Yeah.
And then they brought in all their garbage or whatever, and it was a low turnout. Yeah, you're right about the protesters too. And then they tried to put that Goat Boy statue.
That was strange.
And it's like, what's going on with Oklahoma? It's like, when I get hit with a tornado again, I'm going to go, yep, I'm sorry, but you can't do that stuff without cursing the whole city.
Yes.
Don't even allow it.
Well, and that's what we were talking about in the last show, is that when you move to a new town, you don't know, really. It's hard to know. How are you going to know? How are you going to have assurance that the mayor of that town, the senator of that area, like even Father Brian was agreeing the other night. He was saying, yes, it's true. Their whole towns, whole regions are dedicated to Satan. They're dedicated to Freemasonry. They're dedicated to the dark arts. And, there's no sign when you, drive over the border and you see welcome to Tennessee. You're not going to see some huge sign that says, welcome, it's Satanic Happyville here. So how are we going to know, Ken? How are we going to know? This
is kind of like tells some of the confusion too. That lame statement that says all religions lead to God. I've heard somebody we know say it. I've heard.
I'm so tired of hearing that.
I'm not going to say who this other person was, but who was supposed to be Catholic. But this is why these are Hindu goddesses and gods, and he brought up the dark side ones.
Oh my gosh! Exactly. Remember that picture we looked at? That was really strange. Okay, all right. What we saw, you guys, what we're telling you we saw in this article is he brings up this image, okay, of what he called this. Look at this picture. Look at this picture. He calls this a Persian god. This is a Hindu god. All right? And we're not, I hope his name's up there. I don't want his name up there. You should have blacked that out.
Oh, it's an article. It's not mine.
That's true. I don't want to give any credit. Demonology 101. Don't look at it. Don't address it. Don't give it any credit.
Credit when we put something in the...
No credit. But that's not a Persian god. I mean, yes, it could be considered an ancient Persian god because the demon was definitely around there, and that's how the Hindus learned of it. And sadly, this is this is the olive that fell from the fig tree again. Nope, that's not a fig. That's an olive. It's interesting what people will want you to believe.
Yeah,
that's true, Michael. Once you see it, you can't unsee it.
You'll see the word high priest come up again on someone who's playing like they're an ex-Satanist high priest or whatever, but they're not using the term. And so even this isn't the same Satanism, but
no, this is what I call
regular Satanism.
I have to tell you guys, from knowing people that have been in cults and escaped them, this guy's a play guy. He's kind of like the Zachary King of the Catholic world. He's like, hey, look at what I did. Look at me. Look at all the stuff that I did. And when in reality, the real bad ones, you don't hear about them. You don't see them. They're so entrenched. They're so protected.
Yeah, they got a hierarchy that shuts them up. Say, hey, quit being so vocal about this stuff.
And this Joker,
will make you have an accident.
I mean, this is what we call regalia. He's in dress up, full red dress up. He looks like one of Santa's reject elves. We are Santa's
I'll tell you what he
elves.
looks like. If I had $1 for every
I'm sorry, Jesus,
demonologist
that's
want to
awful.
be out
I mean,
there,
I know Jesus loves this guy, but he maybe
put a hood on and
Satanist
stuff like
really needs
that,
to
and
get a
go
clue.
like this. I think he looks more like these fake demonologists are all out there, especially on the East Coast. It's like there's only a handful of people I even don't laugh at or whatever, and oh my gosh, you know what? I tell you what, all of you people that are faking this stuff, you're going to find out how and why, because we're going to use all your words against you in audio and in text, and these are words that are on articles and so forth, and it's going to hang you. We don't even have to say any opinions.
Well,
That's what we've done before.
Chris points out a really good point
Not
here.
tonight, though.
No. Chris Thompson points out a really good point. Everyone's really desensitive. They're totally desensitized to just almost every single ugly thing there is out there. And when you have people out here like this guy bragging that he's using his wife's menstrual blood for ceremonies, and the 14-year-old girl is like, I don't have any friends because of these weirdo parents of mine. My aunt gives me a Bible and they threw it away. I pray for that kid. I pray that kid gets the heck away from them as soon as possible. And I don't believe in calling, Child Protective Services on anyone.
I would on this one.
I pray somebody gets her out of the home as soon as possible. I just pray by an act of God.
It's not one you're going to be comfortable with adopting or
and not
anything,
because they don't believe like I believe, because one, if you're a Satanist, you're not out there bragging you're using your wife's period blood. Two, you're not looking for attention. You're out there creating hell on earth and laughing about it without anybody really even knowing you're evil because you blend into the world so easily. But like somebody said, putting on a Halloween costume and saying, hey, look at me over here. There's something wrong with that.
Look at this poor kid right here.
Yes, you is right. Yukon Cornelius, that's a good one. Yeah, that's pretty disgusting. But to tell you the truth, kids, that doesn't even touch reality of where they get blood.
Yeah.
That doesn't even touch reality.
Well,
that's a joke.
When you get witchcraft candles, you guys see black candles or sometimes red. Instead of Catholic candles, old Christian candles, I think they did with Jewish too, a pure beeswax. It doesn't have that poly stuff.
Well, it's all natural. It's all natural.
Yeah, that's the idea, because there's a power in purity in God's church. And in these, they put everything disgusting in it. I'm not talking about blood, sweat, and tears, but one of those. Blood, and think of everything that's disgusting that comes out of somebody. They make candles out of that stuff.
Yes.
And that's the whole idea, to make them almost, and you're burning it in your house. Yes, now, and the other thing.
And the reason we called our shows tonight Fakers, Phonies, and Flippin' Whack Jobs. Okay, this is what we call a flipping whack job, okay? Basically because this is today's modern glee club. You don't just go... Like when we were growing up and stuff, you wanted to go be in the club that was, building a cool tree house. You can climb in it. So you wanted to belong to maybe the marble club or the tennis club or, the secret club, because you guys were like building, secret airships, with old parts that you got from trains in the forest, and you like had piles of cool stuff and you got your dad's extra stuff. Those are the kind of cool clubs. Now everybody, what are they joining? Well, let's see. I'm in the bi tri club. I am in the let's see what I look like as a guy for a day club. And I'm not making fun of people that have those sexual kind of issues. I would never do that. What I'm saying, though, that this Satanism is a sickness, and it is what they are trying to get attention for. They want, put your little quarter in the slot and look at what comes out. Oh, well, are you going to be donating some of your personal body fluids? They brag that they're doing marriages. Let's look at this, people. If you're associated with a church, you don't need to advertise that you do marriages. If you are truly believing what you do and doing what you believe, why do you need to make sure that you're giving interviews so that you're as controversial as possible and people look to you and think, he must be an expert? No, this is the modern day Glee Club of America. Let's join a Satan group. Just to say, I tried that. Please don't. Please don't. Once you're in it, you'll never get out of it.
Satanic marriages, like everybody's going to rush to, and you're going to be like as popular as a really good Elvis impersonator in an Elvis
That's a horrible
chapel
thing.
Where he plays a priest. Like, do you take this woman?
I don't think he sings that good, honey.
Elvis?
But can you get that ugly image off the computer? I don't want to look at it anymore.
Which one?
The one that looks, like it's actually...
yeah, okay. That's a gargoyle.
Yeah, that's a demon, honey. You can call it a gargoyle. I'll call
they
it
copied it from... anyway, it's a reproduction of a statue.
Mm-hmm.
Not a direct one, of course, because you can't just put a mold on it.
So there's a lot of people out there who are going to claim that they have all these skills and tools, that they have a way to harness the power of nature, the power of gods, the power of Satan. Well, you know what? If they did, do you think they'd be there in a red Santa costume with a fake Catholic collar and throwing away their little girls' Bibles? I don't see how.
Yeah, I don't really want to go over this one anymore, but when I look at him, I see narcissists. I see the same thing I see in a lot of these fake demonologists and fake priests out there. But he wants to raise more controversy. Now, how would he make the news in the UK Sun, with only 15 members? They like this gossip, this National Enquirer stuff. It's like the way they used to run at haunted house stories in the old days. That's where the Amityville. Oh, by the way, in October we're going to talk about haunted houses.
Yeah,
we're going to
talk about all
what we talk about.
kinds of old cases and old haunted houses. You don't want to miss October shows. We're going to bullet point them and have a lot of fun. But we'll post that other.
Yeah, because some of it's funny. Now have we seen? I'm not going to say we've seen it all. No one has. We've seen so much since I first heard of the Amityville case. I'm going to basically tell you when I think it's made up or phony. That it get made up by what's his name, Jay Anson, who died.
Yes.
Not that long after the book was written, he died of something, and it wasn't demonic, I'm sure.
I'm going to play armchair demonologist with this because you said something about him that I think people need to understand when they're talking about helping people, and they're talking about helping people get out of Satanism and stuff like that. When I see this face, I see a very hurt, abused, frightened little boy that desperately wants to prove himself and his manhood to everyone because he doesn't believe in himself. Nobody's ever believed in him, and even states so. Kids in the commentary, he said the reason that he got into Satanism is because he knows martial arts. Why would somebody at the age that this happened, why would you learn martial arts? You learn martial arts to defend yourself and to possibly potentially hurt somebody that is trying to hurt you, correct?
Usually.
So, what specifically happened? He got into an altercation where somebody was going to hurt him bad. He used his martial arts training, and the person died. He was not charged and not arrested. He looked everywhere, he says, to every religion for some sort of help, for some sort of answer. What does that tell me? From my experience in the cases I've done, he has an uncontrolled rage inside of him. And why do we have uncontrolled rages inside of ourselves? Usually we have a parent that never identified, valued, or even paid attention to us. Usually this points to possible child molestation at a very early age. This points to an inability to bond with a parent of the same sex. There are many, many reasons, psychological reasons, that people have such a rage against anything that walks in their path that they can't explain it. And as I said, this is really common in a lot of cases. The people don't understand why they have this rage inside of them. And then something horrible happens. Now this person's got to deal with the consequences. And what happens? All his religions say that, oh yeah, you're going to go to hell. There's no forgiveness for you. You did the unthinkable. You took another's life. No one could help him come to terms and say, well, you didn't do it on purpose. It was the intent of your heart that mattered. So nobody could explain that to him. Now, how was the devil so good at keeping anyone away that could actually point him in the right direction? Well, we won't know that. God does, and his guardian angel does. And, for whatever reason, I have to pray God has him on his path and that he gets out of Satanism, because this is a game at this point. There's nothing that I can see that he's done that's real. So what would we see in a case like this? We would see that, he's playing at these games. He's playing at being a Satanist because he feels powerless. And hopefully he doesn't go all the way. Hopefully he does not sign his name in blood and everything and offer his life to Satan. And hopefully he can undo what he's done. Because the only reason he's done it is because he feels helpless and he feels used up and he feels, shall we say, left out of the group, because that's what he wanted. He just wanted a religion that would accept him, and that's why he's turned to Anton LaVey. Yes, Tony, pray for his conversion. He's very lost. There's many, 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 many out there like this. Like I said, we will not see. Satanists don't come out and say, hey, I'm offering up some fabulous wedding chapel values this month. And, oh, by the way, if you're here early, we'll toss in some menstrual blood in that cup of juice you guys get to drink from.
All right, don't say that word again.
I'm sorry, it's disgusting, but this is just horrible, kids. Yes,
yeah.
just blood. So,
yeah.
Needless to say, this kind of anger, this kind of rage, and this kind of attitude is very common in what we do. And to the level that people chase it, whether they call it Satanism, whether they call it the occult, whether they call it New Age, whether they call it, well, I just turned on my EVP meter a few times, and, my friends and my family want me to do it now, too. That's still playing a game. You're playing with the occult. It's dangerous. So I guess that's my armchair observations. We can go next, honey.
Yeah, in this caption right here, he's saying something about Anton LaVey. His motto is self-preservation is the highest law. If you read into it, even philosophically, you will draw a negative demon to you. Tommy, I had this happen. I had it happen. I was just reading some notes from a Lutheran minister on Satanism, but it had quotes all over there from the Satanic Bible and some stuff from the Rosicrucians or whatever. And then I woke up and there was a red eye shadow. And then later on, I'm reading Guitar Player, and Tommy Iommi's telling the story how the song Black Sabbath got written, where the shadowy hooded specter showed up at his bedside when he fell asleep reading the Satanic Bible that he found at band practice. His drummer's brother had left it there, and he goes, "Oh, check this out. This is strange." And he woke up and saw that, and he had sleep paralysis. And it's not by the way, I mean, everybody has an idea about Black Sabbath and everything, but he's talking about him being terrified when they wrote this song, which inspired the band's name Black Sabbath, too. That's England for you. Self-preservation is the highest law. Yeah, but it's at the expense of others. They have 3 laws of their 11. They have like 11 commandments, supposedly. This is Anton LaVey's version, by the way, which is kind of like the light public version of Satanism, because they don't talk about the ritual sacrifices or anything in there, of course. And, someone will say, oh, yeah, they do. Yeah. Why aren't they arrested like Manson then? Self-preservation is a high... It puts it in there like destroy them. If they get in your face, destroy them. What else do you call destroy? Destroy, like you call all their sponsors up and get them to stop hosting or promoting your business or TV show or anything? No, he talks in there that he fought back and the kid hit his head on the ground and his head split open like a pumpkin or something like that. This guy's like probably obsessed with death. All right, yeah, you're right. Let's just get out of that. How do you end it? You end it with goofy robot fails. To lighten it back up again. Everybody's afraid of the AI of robots taking over, but when you watch this, you're just going to laugh when you see your first robot.
The AI of robot, they just opened a robot prostitution house. I mean, how can you ignore this stupidity?
They don't do nothing.
Of course they don't do anything. You have to turn them on.
They just lay there. Yeah, all right. A little joke. They just don't do nothing.
I'm sorry, guys. That was bad. That was bad. Forgive me and the pygmies.
These robots
Australia.
look, they don't have much of a will. It's like, oh, screw it. It's like every one of these things you can say, oh, screw it. Oh, shoot. What do I do now? Oh, screw it. I mean, that's what it looks like. Here, look at the chicken legs one.
You and your robots.
First two legs, or whatever you call it. This is funny. He totally misses the doorknob, and wonder why they always decide that they're going to give up when they can't get. It's like they have this built-in suicide mechanism.
That's you in the morning. There's me in the morning without my coffee.
I don't fall down. That's mine. Yeah, you'd know about that. Look at this one. This one's afraid. Don't make me get off here. Don't. Oh, I knew this was going to happen. Oh my gosh! Hey, just to top everything off,
everything off, him and his robots. Oh no, it's
Dr. Freud's therapy ball.
Yes, robot left.
Shake it up. Dr. Freud's therapy ball. Okay, what do you think of this whole thing there, huh? It says...
Robots bad. Drunken robots.
What do you think? He asked. Yeah, so much for that.
I am Dr. Freud's therapy ball.
Oh my.
Please have a seat.
Now, what should we talk about now, Farah?
Well, what do you want to talk about?
I want to mention something real quick, and I'm sure that you'll have something to say about it too. The Auxilianorium and the Christianorum.
Auxilium Christianorum. Binding and rebuking prayers. What about them?
This is out in book form now, which has not just the prayers, which is probably be like a 6-page book, but I'm sure it has some other things.
Auxilium Christianorum.
There's a bit of a controversy with this.
Why is that?
The fact that it's out in paperback means it's like putting our books out, but I put stern warning in the beginning, maybe even too much. People are reading these prayers and they get demonic payback. Especially during the first 6 weeks.
Father Chad reminds people of that all the time.
And I want everybody to know that just because you call your priest your spiritual mentor doesn't mean he's qualified to tell you that, no, don't have a prayer group. Back in the early 2000s, I had a prayer group who volunteered, and I had a possession case I was working on. And when they volunteered and they asked me any particular cases, I said, you can pray about this case, told them. Mm-hmm. And about 4 weeks later, I got a contact from the lead guy, and he said, is there anything to, bad luck or something happening to people making these kind of prayers? I guess they hadn't prayed for real demonic cases before in their church, and that so forth. He says, because everybody's having hardships, cars breaking down, husbands and wives fighting and breaking up and separating, all of that stuff. He says the whole prayer team's broken up.
That's scary.
And I said, aren't you praying for yourselves? So in other words, you entered the battle even if you're just sitting at home in your butt praying.
They just put a big target on themselves is what they did. And that's not a good thing always.
And is it, is it going to stir things up and then it's going to back off? Well, is it going to, you're going to get paid up and your bodyguard's going to show up because you put a down payment on him and he didn't give us full services? Mm-hmm. I'm not really sure why you would begin to pray and then continue to pray after you've had hardships unless you, talk to your spiritual director, find out, hey, am I missing anything? And then maybe he recommends maybe more masses, we go to mass several times a week, Blessed Sacrament, make sure you don't miss your daily rosary, those type of things, the higher path of those prayers, because listening to praise and worship music and a preacher isn't going to cut it. You better become prayerful and more religious if you're going to even enter the battle as a spirit warrior. And that's prayer warrior, I guess the word is. But I'm sure, it's a great organization and everything, but anytime you enter the battle, even on prayer, expect payback, and you're not going to like the payback because your things will break down, you'll be haunted nightmares because you're meddling. They're paying, they have a legal right to be there in that person's life, And you don't have a legal right except by the authority of Jesus to some extent. And everybody doesn't, because you're not an ordained priest.
Not only that, they don't have the faculties.
Yeah,
okay?
and I don't know, for some reason, some people...
outlines the specific faculties that we're given spiritually. And it's not something we can just pull out of a Cracker Jack box and say, oh, by the way, I have the authority to get rid of your demon.
Everybody doesn't have the same authority. No. Remember, the apostles, here's the way the church works. The Pope is like the lead bishop. He's like Peter. And then the bishops are like the apostles. And the priests are like the 72. The bishop allocates his office of exorcism authority to the priest. And that's what the appointed exorcist is about. It makes sense when you think about it. Now, he does that too, you know, I mean, to a certain level, you know, like we're not recognized and appointed by our bishop. We have more faculties because of that. But I wouldn't be in this if I had that much trouble beforehand. You know, I wouldn't even seek
exactly.
it, you know?
And, you know,
if I can't even pray
you
without...
actually took a break for a while, which is very smart when you were going through a difficult time. A lot of people don't.
Yeah, just to make sure I don't add insult to injury. Because they'll pick on all that stuff. If you're emotional weak, you'll lose somebody, mother, father dies, or whatever, if it's hitting you really hard. Padre Pio got taken out for 6 months. He went into, like, seclusion. So, I mean, even the saints have a great difficulty on that. Which brings up one thing I want to mention. We're not doing a Captain Kirk imitation. One thing I want to mention is the saints... we're not living saints. You know, like I said, you know, I don't like listening to provocative music or music with insinuations of, one night stands and all that stuff. But I still like, you know, Dream Theater, and I like the hard rock. But I don't really listen to it as much, you know. I like horror movies. I don't like slasher movies. I like good ghost stories and, you know, some monsters. I like Nightmare on Elm Street, you know. The new one came out. I don't know. Movies just aren't the same anymore. They're really demonic now, you know, some level. Here's what I'm getting to. You're not really going to run into living saints, you know, with the Pat Boone haircut. You know, the dress is great all the time and stuff. I got T-shirts on. You know, I have a suit on, like, you know, the typical, you know, Bob Larson used to wear a suit. Don't get these stereotypes out of your mind. You know, are we living saints? And what was Padre Pio like? Didn't he hit that one guy when he said something about the Blessed Mother when he was blessing his vineyard? He says, don't you say, he knocked him down slapping him. Don't you say that about, you know, the mother of Jesus. No. So, you know, the saints weren't even the saints. We're far from Catherine of Siena and Padre Pio. But, you know, if you have a living saint, you might find the most pious and devout person who just walks in and the demon can't stand to be in the same room with them because they're glowing so much, like Charlton Heston after he leaves the mount with the burning bush, whatever that was in the movie. He's all glowing, and you know, that's what everybody expects it to be. But he picks regular people. You see the apostles arguing amongst themselves about who was loved more by Jesus? I mean, they were just regular people given assignments. So stop looking, you know, like, you want to look, you know, ask me. You know, it's like everybody, you know, goes through their life, and, you know, no one's perfect. And we try to strive to be perfect, and we may never reach the achievement of saints, but then again, what is it our goal to be, you know, not our goal, God's choice to make us a cloister priest, a brother, I mean? You know, we're third order, you know. So don't expect to see a Pat Boone haircut. And if you see this, and I don't look pious enough for you or traditional, oh, by the way, yeah, we practice the more traditional methods, and we go to the what they call the Novus Ordo and all that. And Jesus has not left the building, I assure you. The authority is still there, very powerful. Our ministry wouldn't even work with priests blessing all the things we've got. You know, I don't have no strange illness or anything like that. God's on our side. But in the final thing, I want to say judgmental. We talked about it earlier. Stop with the judgmental stuff. You know, you want to get toe-to-toe and stuff. You know, I'd love to debate some of you guys who think you're holier than thou, you know, because I'm getting tired of it to some degree. It is judgmental, and the most judgmental people are some of the people that think, I'm doing all that stuff. How about the people in the Bible? Lord, Lord, Lord. And he says, I don't know you. Be awake. Go away. You don't know me. He's not even, these people aren't even practicing. They end up gossip. These ladies that volunteer for everything in church are the biggest gossips. Right? You know, and then they got the biggest scandals in those things.
I was going to say they know my underwear size, but I don't think that's appropriate.
Yeah, it's just so I mean, if you want an example, look and say, hey, they got all these. If you can see openly that there's a problem, with everything that we're doing, like, oh, hey, yeah, Kenny's always, he's always sick, he's posting porn, or something. I mean,
that'll be the day. I don't think you'll ever do that.
Look for the fruits. I mean,
Ever,
if you don't
ever.
see them, then shut up. All right, you want to do what we do? There's a friend of mine, and his priest said, you really shouldn't be doing this. He doesn't have recognition from his bishop or anything, and he says, "You going to do it?" He says, "I see what you mean." So even the priest can't be judged in the same way. Every priest is not cut out. He doesn't want to enter that arena of working with the demonic. We got desensitized, in some ways hardened. We joke about it because we're desensitized.
And a lot of people
And we
think
lighten
that,
them
you
up.
know what, that we're not serious enough. That, we
Yeah.
should be taking this so serious. So, we get these PMs constantly. Well, how come you'll laugh and have a good time? And how come you're joking about stuff? And, how come you just don't take it serious? This stuff is serious and they're all demons and this and that. It's like, excuse me. If you saw the stuff I did, went through the stuff I did, and see the people change that I have, you'd be laughing at it too. Because if we don't laugh, I'll be popping pills in a nut hatch saying, you know what? No more, no more. Just let me have my little ball of yarn and my TV go away. I got my meds. But no, I could not do that. There's too many people out there, too many souls. And if we can just plant one seed, that's all I ask God. Just let me have one. If you want to send me more, I'll do what I can with every single one. So that's why we're here. We have to laugh. We have to laugh right in his face because he's as ineffectual as a gnat. Or unless God gives him the legal right, because we've already given it, then those entities, those little minions under whatever general of Satan, they're allowed to do what they can do. But do you think we get serious when we cry and we run and turn tail? Heck no. And Anna was pointing out in the chat room that there's so many priests that don't even believe that Satan is actually alive or is actually active in this world. I was telling her, we hear that at least once a week. And thank you for addressing that, Ken, because just because a priest tells you he doesn't believe, that does not mean he's any less effective. Or does not mean he's any less of a person. It means that he has a personal opinion. He wasn't trained. He wasn't taught. He does not have the experience. And he may not be able to correctly counsel, but he still has the sacraments of the church. And let me tell you, if you're in a boat and that boat capsizes, are you going to want your Winnie the Pooh little squishy? Are you going to want a little pet floaty that's inflated? Or are you going to want that big, solid, hardcore rubber ring that's attached to the side of the big boat that you are too ashamed to hold on to in front of anybody?
Pride.
That's what we see.
Yeah.
Big time pride. The sacraments are there for a reason. And there is nothing to say, because we help people that have never known, never believed, never thought they would ever believe. They have seen holy water change their lives. They've seen a little tiny kernel of faith put on a St. Benedict medal, and no more nightmares, no more touching, no more succubus. So God works with your faith that you've already got. And we're blessed that those priests are there, even talking to people. So if you're knocking on doors, keep knocking on those doors. You're going to find one.
Here's a myth, too. Like, remember we were talking about this thing with Charlton Heston coming from the mountain looking straight
Hey,
ahead.
Ron Adair, good to see you.
And he's just, like, staring ahead, and his face looks like it's glowing, and he's got that Billy Graham look and whatever, And I had a argument with PayPal about some ripoff, and I had to go to take care of a house, that I'm going over there to interview the people, and we brought the holy water and everything, and we're going to do it before we have to call a priest, see how that works. What I learned from the years, it doesn't matter that you're upset. You can pray it off in a way to get yourself more at peace. It still works because God's with your ministry. It doesn't matter what mood you're in. So that's what I mean. Don't expect us all to be saints. And you know what? I've watched my friends get picked on and ripped off, and eventually I stuck up for them. I remember going to this one garage and standing there like this with my friend, so my friend can talk to the garage guy about fixing his car, which he refused to do. Oh, he changed his mind real quick because I'm scary looking.
Well, you are scary.
But don't expect me to back down from a fight. Especially, if you're going to attack the church, I'm going to apologetically, go at you sometimes. Sometimes I don't care.
And that's just
to make a point, because if you're going to do it in a public forum, I'm Peter, I'm Paul, in front of the pagans. We're about ready to throw tomatoes, and he's making a great argument. Hopefully not like St. Stephen. They got thrown with rocks and got pelted to death with rocks. But don't expect us to be, peace to you, brother.
You're going to sing the Kung Fu fighting song.
That is, I appreciate your opinion, brother. And I'm sorry if I've offended you. I'm not going to do that stuff. That's not what God bred us to be. No. We're fighters. And did Jesus go into the temple when he saw people selling doves and stuff in the back of the temple?
Thank you.
Oh, I understand, brother, that you need to make income. No, he turned those tables over. So quit your judging about people. We're going to say something that's true. You know what? And don't get me started about abortion either. I'll go off big and deep. And, everybody who's ever had an abortion, God will forgive you. Ask for it and then move on. Don't vote for people who support this horrendous crime. Just end it by asking Jesus for forgiveness, and don't promote it with your kids or anybody else, or vote for people who promote it. It's just like that. Be on the side of truth.
I think, you have a really good point there about the things that we have to witness. We are called to point out the truth. We're not called to drop everybody's drawers and give them a swat across their butt. We're called to witness the truth.
Yeah.
And there are times when you have to take that rod and walk right in the temple, and you have to overturn those tables. We pray to God. Give us that moment so we can be in there. Until then, we basically have to stand right there inside the temple and say, hey, you can't do that. You can't play with that Ouija board. You can't be sleeping with Tony tonight and Ron tomorrow and Angelo Friday. You can't be sleeping with all these guys outside of marriage. You can't be popping a pill so you don't have to have babies and think, it's not a problem. So, sadly, I told Ken we're not going to be popular ever. I don't care. I'm not here to be popular. Because if you want to light a bowl of sage and wave a little eagle's feather and pop your pills and sleep with 5 men, well, there's lots of sites you can go on and be popular. This isn't it, kiddies. This one we got to tell you the truth. When you lay with devils, you're playing with devils. And when you're playing with devils, nothing good's going to come of it. And that's a lot of the cases of basic vexation and invitation it just starts with these little sins, and people don't really see them because, we think nothing of walking home, with 5 pencils and 2 reams of paper in our pocket from work, or we think nothing of, helping ourselves to extra supplies and think, oh, well, that's not stealing. Mm-hmm. Sin makes us stupid, and we don't realize it. We don't realize how we invite this stuff in.
Amen.
Yeah.
And I got time to bring something up on that. Feel free to ask any questions. We're never afraid to answer. It's funny too that probably a little bit unrelated. I don't know, but because you said about when you speak to truth, you're not going to be popular. Back in early 2000, I was on like a radio show every week. Even if it was a podcast show. And it's like we haven't put ourselves out there. I don't have a press kit or any of that stuff. Mm-hmm. And I find that, no one's asking us to go on is because we draw the line. I'm not going to talk about, abortion on these other radio shows because we have a message to warn people like, hey, don't trust it's a child spirit. Don't be so gullible. If you're going to go in and do this stuff, make sure you really pray about it, think about it, and say your protection prayers every day because you miss the day. That might be the day that you notice the hardships pouring like a flood of water. But we're out there for you. This is something I wanted to bring up because we have. Well, let's see what. Let's go back. Where is it? There we are. 1976. There was a guy named John Todd. You ever hear him, Farah, before?
No, because he was not in my purview. He's a few years older than me.
Mm-hmm.
A conspiracy theorist.
Look at that. See, it says May 19.
Oh my gosh, this
1949.
guy.
Yeah, he died 2007, age 58.
And he was a demonologist?
He was serving a sentence for, no, worse.
Oh, my gosh. He
rape.
was arrested for rape.
He got a 30-year.
So what was he?
Here's the significance about him.
Oh, he was a preacher.
You remember we were talking about people pretending to be ex-Satanists?
Yes.
The Southwest Radio Baptist Church was promoting this guy. I don't know if they directly did or they indirectly did by putting him on a show every once in a while. We've made no mistakes, sometimes too, putting people on that we thought were legit. And there's some other people that had the same thing. But he revealed a lot of these, what they call conspiracy theories. The problem is a lot of them are true. But then he was making dumb statements like, a lot of people say that white witchcraft is okay to practice for Christians, including the Pope. And I'm like, what? Because me and my mom and dad were listening to this in 1976 in a small town, mid-Missouri, on a tape that we got from somebody. And there were shocking revelations in there, and I think he kind of borrowed from other people. And he was doing some scam that was some sort of like organization or for farmers, some farmers organization. And even one of the Blessed Mother apparitions spoke against him. I got a weird story if I'm ever ready to prepare people for that one. But they call him a former occultist who's born into a witchcraft family. That was his main story. But I don't remember him talking about, some of these others, some of the background of it. But it made the Satanist case more to where they're involved with the government and big business and all that stuff. That was probably more closer to the truth than the people who make it look like a small little coven, but they don't really network together in such a larger scale. But he was quite convincing, and when you listen to it, you're paranoid. I mean, this person, back then, they didn't have really good equipment, and stuff. Most people didn't. Yeah. They used 2 tape recorders, whoever made this tape for us, put one tape recorder next to the other. One played and one recorded. So when she hit the gal who recorded it for us, hit the fast forward button, and all of a sudden it goes, and it's like...
That was so strange.
Yeah, it sounds like one story we have that happened to us. Little poltergeist decided to turn the tape recorder on and fast forwarded it. We thought we were all kind of freaking out. Not really freaking out. In '76, we thought that the tape did down on its own, and we looked and it didn't, and because it kind of spooked you, and that's what it does to these conspiracy theory guys. But like I said, there was a discrepancies that popped into there, and I thought, well, is he like Mel Gibson in the sense that Mel Gibson made a Passion of the Christ? He seemed very devout. He built a traditional church with his money, and they attended that mass every day before filming A Passion of the Christ. He was really on his way, and then
he was.
And then afterwards, and everybody, both all the denominations agreed he was under Satan's attack big time because he ended up divorcing his wife. I think he cheated on her. He became a full-blown alcoholic. He's supposed to be working on Passion of the Christ 2, which would be called Resurrection, I think, The Resurrection. But the fruits, you would expect that there's going to be payback for going out and telling the truth. But I think this guy never was up in front legit on all levels. So if he converted a little bit, he converted, and still kept some of these beliefs. And why didn't the Baptist Church say, hey, witchcraft is witchcraft? If you work for a mob boss and he's not telling you to kill somebody for money and he tells you to deliver a package, is he any less a mobster?
Yeah.
That you serve the same master in both white and dark. That's what they have to pay attention to. But unfortunately, we don't have the time tonight to go into it deeper about some of the clowns that we can talk about, including this person and this one here.
Yeah, we don't want to give the face or the name too much.
Yeah, so
attention.
We'll go ahead and we'll probably have to wait. We'll definitely wait for another time when we can organize those a little better. But you never know.
We did have one question from Tony that was a really good one that I wanted to ask real quick before we take off and say sayonara, everyone. Tony said, perchance on the Exilium Christianorum, should all the priests decide to leave the group and stop praying, what would happen to the group? What would the efficacy be? Do you think the people would be under attack because the priests left?
Oh, because the priests left?
Yeah, because if the priests left, they walk away from the group and they stop praying, what would happen to all the laity that are praying? What would you suppose would happen due to, the authority of the group? and the authority that was established with the priests.
I don't know, when it's just praying, it's if they're offering masses, that's different. When they're offering masses and one person may be offering a rosary, that's going to pack more power. But my honest opinion, I think in some of these prayers, if they're just saying prayers and it's a collective thing that's supposed to benefit everybody, I don't think there's going to be much more if they're saying the exact prayers if they're a priest and if they're not in the collective of it all. But I know they're doing more than that. They're doing mass and everything else, and it's probably going to be better, but I can't think of the reason why on that particular case. Like collectively, how is it going to benefit everybody in protection and benefiting from doing the prayers if the priests are just kind of dwindling down of practicing that? I mean, it will hurt the cases, I suppose, but not the individuals praying. I don't think they're going to, as long as they've been replaced with someone just as devout or pious. We can't assume all priests. Well, usually when they're in that sense and they know spiritual warfare, you'll probably get a collective of people who are pretty pious and into their faith, because that really shows your faith. I was kind of surprised to see Bishop, we were watching we were talking about the other day, Bishop Barron, and he's an educator, and he's doing this World on Fire series and all that stuff, that he wasn't ready, and he's a bishop, to deal with things, of what we even do.
He didn't want, openly stated he did not want to talk about demons, and he was glad because he didn't want to have to deal with the demonic, and he was being very honest. He was like our priest that we love so much.
I'm glad he was honest. That just tells you he knows where he's at, and that's important.
Yeah, it is very important. I just want to address Tony's question real quick. From what I understand of the Auxilium Christianorum, it was established by priests, for priests, and for all those deliverance people that work like Ken and I do in deliverance and exorcism, as well as people, lay people, to participate in praying for those that are either under deliverance, that are working directly with deliverance, or the exorcist, or people, the deliverance ministers themselves, like Ken and I. And should the priest decide to walk away, the efficacy, I do not believe would change, because the priest stopped praying the prayers, or they stopped participating. This could not affect the group as a whole, because the group's goal is to pray for the priests that established it and for the laity and the deliverance members. So when you're looking at the purpose of something, and you're looking at, let's say you've got a pot on the stove and it's for cooking, and let's say you cut the handle off, will the pot still work? Yes, it will. And I think it's something as simple as that. Because when we originally talked to Father Ripperger about this, when he was here live a few years ago, when we recorded him and talked to him about the group, he said there are strength in numbers, and Satan knows this. And that strength in numbers, in the level of prayers that you storm heaven with, and the number of people, everybody praying for those prayers is praying for every single person that needs to be delivered, that needs protection. The priests that are actually doing the live deliverances, Ken and I, if we're saying like the prayers of St. Mars over someone, that's what those prayers go to. So if you just, like I said, if you just remove the handle from the pot, I believe that the pot's still going to work. So, and that is, of course, that's my human reasoning, and that's kind of what I got from Father Ripperger, that let's say him and 5 other priests decide not to pray this week. The efficacy is still going to be there. You've got all those people, and they're praying that prayer, and they're storming heaven to pieces. So, I like the prayers. I love my prayers. I pray my prayers daily. I don't know how many years I've been doing it. 3-4 years since we met Father?
Yeah, I think so.
It has given me a good insight into the darkness of my past, and exposed a lot of things. So I have to thank God for those prayers in a big way. So we want to thank you guys. Thank you for all your input. We really needed, the visual, the audio. We needed just all the attention so that we could figure out what to do for changing, because we've got some changes in the wind. We're thinking about going maybe from Thursday to Friday, and we're thinking, about, just how to present ourselves better, maybe instead of 8 o'clock going to 8:30, or maybe running some commercials so we can get more people in. Because the more the merrier. The more people we have in here, the more fun we have. Right, you guys? Right,
Yeah, the
Tony?
8:30
Hi,
thing was also an
Telly.
experiment.
Oh,
Somebody just come in this a little late?
yeah, she's got a question, too. I know of a teenage boy who's being tempted by a sexual demon. What are the best prayers for that boy and the parents to pray? Ken, I need you to hit this. The boy has recently started going to weekly confession and wears a scapular of St. Benedict.
Scapular.
Yeah,
okay,
so she
well,
needs to know about the prayers to keep
You
him
can
from
find
being
the
tempted.
prayers on
Okay, Tistelli, listen, we've got prayers for you.
swordsofsaintmichael.org. Don't spell it with a S-T, saint. Spell it S-A-I-N-T. Swords of Saint Michael. That's S on the end of sword. Is swords. Swordsofsaintmichael.org. Go to the prayers/solutions and use the pull-down menu and look for prayers for purity or something along those lines. I probably could have been more specific because the mainstream's looking for succubus, incubus, or some of these things that are on, so, more in the, inside the church lingo or whatever. And we're trying to make it both mainstream and where people understand what it is inside the church. Here's the really important ones, and if you have a young teenager and all that, the 3 Hail Marys prayer. You can get attacked physically where you're like reacting, your body's reacting and everything, and you're not even thinking about it. They can do that especially when you give into it over a period of time. You can pray that off by saying, "O Mary, my mother, please preserve me from mortal sin this day." Say it 3 times and bless yourself with the holy water when you say it. And you're going to find that you can kill the thought. The only thing is, if you succumb to it as a person to the point where you don't want to give it up, you like it, and that's what some succubus, incubus people do. They like that relationship. A little bit of them does, and if a little bit does, that could be a problem, and it won't work as well. And the second prayer course, if you you can create a devotion to Mary by doing a consecration to the Immaculate Heart of Mary and the Sacred Heart of Jesus, and do the whole prayer called the 3 Hail Marys prayer that's on that page. It has one other prayer in it, but I asked them to say the rosary too. But the 3 Hail Marys prayer, say it daily. If it's really a problem, do it morning, night, and then when you wake up in the middle of the night, because they attack you in the middle of the night sometimes. And married guys can get this, and it's hard to say, but usually they have to feed it. It starts at dream stages, test the waters a little bit, and then they'll wake you up in the middle of the night with a desire for it, and they might try it supernaturally, like pulling the covers off your legs first or something.
Yeah.
Don't let it get any further. Once they start in the dreams, start praying it off, because you don't want it to build from there, because they're trying to get at something to keep you in that mortal sin. Anything to add?
Yeah, I please write this down. I'm going to try and type it later to you. You can send us a PM or put it in a comment. Have the parents, since the parents want to do some prayers too, have them invite the priest over and enthrone their house, okay? Yeah. Enthrone the house, have the priest go into the boys' room, because I have a feeling that this is something that this boy brought home from a friend, and that this is an invitation that has chased him from a friend, and it's probably something that, because see, we were talking about this the other night. Sometimes when as children we're attacked by sexual demons, it's come through from one of our parents who this generational spirit is invitational. Yeah. Because I fought off sexual demons for years, and I have to tell you that this is going to be a fight for his life, even when he's married, because images, once you see something, you cannot unsee it. So, the boy needs to practice custody eyes. The parents need to do an enthronement. They need to talk to, like Ken, we have our son do prayers for purity. He says, Holy Immaculate Virgin, I commit myself to you, and I don't remember how the prayer goes, Ken. But they say purity prayers. Why? Because both of them are going to and want to be virgins until they get married. And that's an important thing for this young man. It's almost impossible to do in today's society. Usually by age 13, some form of sexual molestation has already occurred in public school. Grabbing, hitting, punching, kicking, raping, whatever has already occurred. So, the boy needs to be taken seriously. If he is ready to start praying, then a scapular is a good reminder. prayers need to be said every morning and every night.
Miraculous
Also,
medal.
he
Get
needs
the miraculous medal.
Yes, he needs a devotion to his guardian angel. If you want to, I would be glad to mail you some prayers and some instructions for his parents and send him a couple of St. Benedict medals. So if you can send us a PM later, I'd be glad to help you, because this is scary when you have kids in public school. This is scary when you have a praying family and you have things going on and you just don't know, because you walk into Walmart and you see more body parts than you do on the 6 o'clock news. And we have to teach our children, look away, don't look. I mean, you see women without bras, without underwear, and you have to tell your son, look away. Or you have to jump in front of that child so he doesn't see it. We can't protect them from everything, so we must teach them to take custody. We must teach them to look away and not give it attention. Same thing, Demonology 101. Do not address it, do not look at it, do not engage with it, because it's an invitation. So, get in touch with us more if you can. So we'll be glad to help you, and God bless you. And like Ken said, find the prayers, enthronement, guardian angel. He needs a relationship with his guardian angel because his friends aren't any good.
Yeah, last thing I'd want to add to that would be that friends, although they're, friends are great, but they also will drag you to hell. And I'm talking about this because I told someone on the phone something that I've been saying for years and years, 20 years at least, and that is the top two things that we have to deal with that causes demonic activity, and the two of them together is like a match and a can of gasoline. Oh, you're going to say violent kung fu movies? No, violence is not the problem. It's sex outside of marriage. It goes to perversion so often, and movies and everything promote it. When you have sex and you have witchcraft, for example, or occult practices, you got the worst demons, the worst possessions. It's hard to get out because they invited in with that sin. And then what's standing there at the door when they do the witchcraft to open up that portal? The sex demon. Then it becomes an incubus, succubus. It's not like a curse. You can be cursed by a witch and get rid of it easier than you can when you curse yourself with that. The friends are bad because they bring Playboy magazines, they get porn, and they play them at their houses.
That's just light. I mean, right now they're taking each other's Adderall. They're popping pills. They're smoking a doob at the bus stop. These kids are under so much pressure from so much bullying. And how do you tell your kid, okay, put down the phone, turn off all your stuff. When you get home, you've got to have 5 hours free space.
Yeah, I'm about to do prayer for our children too. That's on the site also.
That's every parent's job.
Yeah.
Every parent. So.
And you can create a devotion to Saint Joseph, as the father.
He needs a relationship with his guardian angel every morning and every night, because his guardian angel will protect him.
It's an uphill battle when and it's mostly because they're friends. They learn all of that stuff from their friends, and they get encouraged to do it. Remember, like someone was talking about shoplifting.
Yes.
That their friends got them to shoplift for the first time. Oh, you chicken? That kind of stuff. So you got to watch it. It's like the good friends can be good for you, but the bad ones are really bad.
The bad ones will drag you right into that dream state. So on that, sorry we kept you so long, but we sure have enjoyed it. Never forget, the battle has already been won, and we're here to help you fight the fight and win it right. So we are the Real Deals, Ken Deel, Fair Deel, OFS, and OSDE, meaning that we're with the Office of Spiritual Deliverance and Exorcism, and we like to keep it light, and we sure hope you enjoyed it tonight. Happy Labor Day. God bless you. Until next Thursday, we have Father Driscoll. And PhD. Ken, are we going to be here on YouTube, or are we going to be on Facebook next Thursday night?
What do you think? I'm going to flip a coin?
We need to tell people, because they're going to come here and they're going to look at it.
I got it scheduled here, so I guess
contact us if you need more help. Okay.
Well, Father Mike's already been played on the other channel, so I think we'll put him on YouTube.
Yeah, we're going to be at YouTube.
Yeah,
that's right Thursday night, 8 p.m. Central. There's a tiny little bell. If you click on it, you'll get a notification that we're going to be live. Ken will be scheduling it. God bless you all. Thank you all, Tess, Ron, Anna, Jennifer, Tony, and Michael. Thank you guys for joining us. And yes, we need Carol Merrill, Ron, with the new car. Door number 1 here. Yeah, right.
Carol, we got
Somebody needs to give us a new car. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. So good night. God bless, and say your guardian angel prayers tonight, kiddies.
See you guys next week, same time, same channel. Well,
next week.
Not exactly.
Thursday.
Not exactly. Thursday. 8 o'clock Central, 9 Eastern.
Night, Orion.
6 Pacific.